Hello again everybody, it's Paula here from Craftables. I'm just wanting to share my card that we did this week in class. I can give you all the dimensions and everything and what papers we used as well. So this is our card, and we have done one similar to this where it has this middle panel in the bottom, this side there, but this time I've put a bit of acetate. So this bit of acetate is actually been embossed, and I've done that as a window on the back, and that just folds down and then stands up like this. So it's actually a really lovely card to do, and I had a lot of fun with this one. This one I've gone ahead and I've cut out some little flowers from a die. So this is calico, and it does cut really well with dies, believe it or not. So that was just one pass through my machine with a die. Came out beautifully. So this is actually a really fun way of doing a little flower if you don't have any material ones at home. Okay, so there's our card. I'm going to get started now. Alright, so first of all, I've cut a piece of white cardstock to 6 by 9, and then I'm going to place this on my trimmer and I'm going to score this. So, bring my trimmer in here, and I'm just going to push my plate over that way so that now I've got that ridge there so I can push my paper up against there and it's nice and even and straight. So, to start off with, we're going to do a 2.5 inch score, a 3.5 inch, 5.5, and 6.5. Okay, so that was 2.5, 3.5, 5.5, and 6.5, and that's all the scoring you need to do. So I'll flip my board back so I can cut next time, and just pop that over to the side there. Okay, so we ended up with 4 score lines. So we're going to fold this, we're going to do a valley fold on that first one. So a valley fold is where you're folding it into a V. So you've got that V for valley. The next one is going to be a mountain fold. So this one we're going to have a peak for a mountain, like that. And the next one again is going to be another mountain, so another peak. And our last one is V for valley again. So we're just going to do a valley one on there. So now those are folded, I'm just going to get my bone folder and I'm just going to score those, burnish those down really well so they're nice and strong on there. There we go, and I'll flip that over and I'll do this side as well. Okay, so just to go over that again, we have a V for valley fold, a peak for a mountain, another peak, and then another valley. So you should end up with something looking like this. Okay, so this is the way the card is facing you, so this is the way we're going to be working with it through the video. Now I have gone ahead and I've cut out some other bits and pieces. Now what I've done is I've cut these 2 pieces out of pattern paper. So this is what did I use for this? This is the Scrap Boys First Love paper, so it's a new one that we've got out at the moment. It's beautiful, beautiful paper. So what I'm going to do is, because I need to have the acetate behind this piece here, I'm actually going to just stick this down, and we're just going to position it there. We're not actually going to stick it down, but I have actually forgotten a step, so let's go back a step. Okay, so I have, sorry about that, I've cut a template out. Now this template I think measures 1.5 by 4. So this template is going to go right up against that score line there, so that score line there, and I think there's 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the bottom, and we're just going to trace around that template, trace around that template there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, right up against that score line there. Make sure there's 1 inch at the top and the bottom, and I'm just going to trace around that template there as well. Okay, so those are going to be the windows that we're cutting out, alright? So you can get in there and use your scissors to cut those out, or you can use a craft knife. I'm just going to use a craft knife because I find it a bit quicker. So I'm just going to bring my metal ruler in, and I'm just going to start and cut along this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out, and then we'll get back to you at the end of this. Okay, so I've cut those 2 windows out there, so as you can see it's right up against that score line there, and I've just done that window there and there as well. So what I'm going to do next is now we can place these onto here, but I just want to tack them on. I don't actually want to stick them down just yet, and the reason is that I want to be able to put the acetate underneath these pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bit of tape on the very top there, and I'm just going to position it exactly where I want it to go there. So I do have a bit of a white border around it all, and I have put it hard up against that score line again. So again, I'm just going to tack this one down as well, hard up against that score line. Right, so these are just tacked there, they're not stuck down properly, and the reason is because I want to flip it over and I want to cut this middle piece out again so that I have a really beautiful, perfectly lined up frame for the other side of my card. So I'm just going to bring my mat back in, and I'm just going to use my craft knife to cut those pieces out again. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've just cut those middle pieces out, and as you can see, it just lines up really, really nicely with our window there. Alright, so now we can take these back off again. Just remember which window they go on. And I have cut 2 pieces of acetate, so the window paper there. And what have I cut these to? I've cut these to 2 inches by 5 inches, so 2 pieces at 2 inches by 5, and we're just going to put some tape on the top and bottom and that right hand side, and we're just going to stick that over top of our window there. So just going to put some on the back. Alright, so the acetate's now put through those windows, and I've just, like, there is going to be a bit there that's not stuck down, but that's hard up against that score line there, so you're not even going to notice that. Right, now we can put our frames back on now that we have our acetate on, so that actually gives us a nice clean background as well on there. So I'm just going to put tape around all of this. You could glue it if you wanted to, and then we're just going to stick these back down onto our card. Alright, so we've got the frames back on our windows. We just make sure that it still shuts okay. Beautiful, shuts lovely. Alright, so now we need to cover these middle pieces here. So out of the same paper, I've cut a couple of bits to go on those edges here. So I've cut 2 pieces to measure 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4, and they're going to go on these smaller panels on the front here. Now I actually think I actually have cut these a wee bit smaller than I should have, but never mind, we can carry on with it. This one here is 1 3/4 by 5 3/4 along there, so that one goes in the center panel. And I've kept this one pretty plain because I actually want to stamp on this one in the middle as well. So I'm just going to pop that in the center there. Yeah, I have cut my side ones a wee bit short. Sorry about that. Never mind. Okay, so those ones are going to go down there as well. Yeah, just ignore this little bit here. I've just cut them a bit short. Okay, so there's our baseline of our card. So before I put the frame on, I actually want to do my stamping on here. So I've got my frame, and what I've done is I've just marked where my frame sort of starts and finishes. Just to give me a guide about where I'm going to do my stamping. So this one says, happiest of birthdays to you, hope all of your wishes come true, and I'm just using a VersaFine ink pad Onyx Black. So I'm just going to stamp that into the center there, make sure I'm lining up in the middle. There we go. Okay, so now I can go ahead and rub those lines out if I can find a eraser. No, I haven't got one with me. Never mind. Just rub those little pencil marks out. Now I have gone ahead and fussy cut this out, so I've cut the middle piece out and around the outside. And to give it a bit more strength to it, I've actually put a little bit of acetate behind it. You can't see it very well, but I've just put a bit of acetate behind there to give this some strength. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue around the very outside here. You could use tape as well. that, and then your acetate. If you use glue, just remember that the glue does tend to squash a little bit and goes a little bit outside there. So just make sure that your glue doesn't go outside of the frame there onto this part, just so that it keeps it nice and clean. Okay, so now we've put the window on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of tape behind here at the bottom and at the top, and we're just going to stick that down onto our card. So again, you could use glue if you wanted to. I'm just a bit of a tape girl myself. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in the center there, stick that down. Okay, so we've got the acetate on there now, and the last thing we need to do is our little flower in this corner. So I've gone ahead and cut these out with a die from, oh gosh, I can't remember what, I think it's one that we sell in our shop. It's just a normal flower die. So this has come out in one go, so they're very easy with the calico. But to give it that vintage look, what I've done is I've just got each flower bunch there, and I've just really screwed it up inside there like that with my fingers. So really give it a good scrunch up, because we want it to be a little bit frayed and messy looking, just to give it that shabby chic look. So go ahead and do that with all of them. Alright, so I've scrunched those up really, really roughly there, so I'm just going to put one on top of the other, so from the biggest to the smallest. And I'm just going to off-center them a little bit so they're not all uniform. So just one on top of the other. I might not put that tiniest one on there, but just because it's a bit too small for what I want. So these ones are just way on top of each other. Now I've got my crocodile here, and I'm just going to use the very small circle there. So I'm just going to bring that right into the center of my flower and give it a good punch. So I'm just going to carry on holding it there, and I've got 4 little stamens here, so I'm going to line them all up to the same length, and I'm going to fold them in half. So now I've got 8 little stamens there, and I'm just going to pop those through the hole of my flower. And I'm just going to bend them off to the side a little bit. If they come out past your flower, just cut them off a little bit. Where have my scissors gone? There they are. So I'm just going to cut them off a little bit because they do stick out from my flower a little bit. Now I suggest you use either a 450 glue or a really good strong glue. This one's perfect for it. It just takes a little bit longer to dry. So once this is on here, I'm going to pop it on that side there. Once it's on there and it's all dry, you can really rough up those petals again and make it look really shabby chic on there. Oh, come on, glue. Okay. So there we go. So I'm just going to glue that on there. Now when it's really stuck down, you can actually come back and fluff up those flower petals a little bit and make it look really, really roughed up there. And it gives such a really pretty little flower there. I just love it. Okay, so that's our card. I hope you have a good time with it. You can do your writing on the back here, so if you've got some other things you have got that you could cut out, you could pop them on there to make it a little bit prettier. So that's our card. So it does fold down nicely to get sent, and then it just pops out with the acetate and just stands up like that to display. So it is a pretty little card. I hope you give it a try. I had a lot of fun with this one. So thank you again for joining me today, and I will be here again next week with another card. Thanks guys. Bye.